Hi, and welcome to another edition of Montpelier Connection. This is State Representative Mike Nowicki, the Wyndham 5 District, Putney, Westminster, and Dummerston, and today's guest here at the State House is Representative Valerie Stuart from Brattleboro.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here with you. Thanks
Welcome.
for inviting me, Mike.
And thank you for taking time out of our busy schedules here. This session is really starting to pick up momentum towards our adjournment. The House has passed the budget, which is the biggest bill, and then we're working on other pieces on a large scale like healthcare. We can talk about that a little bit. But Val, you're on the Education Committee.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you've been working on this session?
Yes, so Mike, I'm really thrilled to be on the Education Committee. I just feel like it's a perfect fit for me, having seen my two children go through the Vermont public school system. I feel like that's one of my main qualifications as an Education Committee member, but I'm really enjoying it, and our top two priorities this session, which we outlined or we decided to pursue at the beginning of the session, are number one, finding strategies that help narrow the achievement gap, which, as you may well know, is largely based on poverty. We have very high rates of free and reduced price lunch in Vermont and in Wyndham County. That number's about, I think it's around 40%. I don't have the exact number ahead of me, but in front of me rather, but it's high, and across Vermont it's there are real high pockets of it. So, and the other thing is restructuring ed governance, and well, with regard to our second priority, restructuring ed governance, we have introduced a bill which is now being reviewed by the House Government Operations Committee, and that bill basically proposes to have the governor appoint a Secretary of Education as opposed to having the State Board of Education name a Commissioner of Education, rather, who then is approved by the governor. And if this bill passes in both the House and the Senate, what it would mandate is that the governor be able to name Secretary of Education with the advice and consent of the Senate. And that bill also has some details with regard to enlarging the number of members on the State Board of Education and that sort of thing. But it's kind of a phased-in bill. At the beginning, it would be, I think, by July 2012, enabling the governor to make that appointment. And then some of the details with regard to the State Board of Education's responsibilities and the Department of Education's would be fleshed out within, I think, the ensuing year.
So this, one of the changes is this raises the level of the
Exactly.
head of the education department from a commissioner to a cabinet level.
Absolutely, and the feeling is that education is such an important part of our society, and that it really should be a cabinet level position. And this bill was voted out of our committee 10-0-1. That one person means that one person of our 11-person committee was absent. So it was a unanimous vote, and many of the long-term educators on the committee feel like there needs to be more accountability and from the top, and more authority from the top with regard to the importance of education in Vermont. So that's really exciting, and in terms of narrowing the achievement gap, some of the really interesting things we found out, Mike, are that strong schools generally equal strong principals. So one of the things we did, which I think is very exciting, and it's now being looked at by the Senate, our bill, is to provide mentoring support for new principals. New principals are principals that are out of school for 2 or fewer years, and they would actually get, I'm sure you are aware, and listeners are aware, and principals have a lot of different habits, are aware, and listeners are aware, Principals have a lot of different hats to wear, and it's a big job, and some of them rise to that position with little training. And the good principals, we heard testimony from one principal, Mike. He was so amazing. He was actually named, he was from up north, and he was actually named Vermont Principal of the Year, and he was from a K through 12 school. And basically, it was all about, he knows his student body, and he stands at the front door every morning, and he's like a guardian angel. He sees that kid looks a little bit, disgruntled, or maybe there's a problem at home, so he sends him off to a guidance counselor, and then the next little girl who comes along, maybe she looks hungry, so he makes sure she gets breakfast, and he just takes care of, it's like all these little children and students are under this person's, wing, and that kind of support for children who come from troubled or poor or homes, or who come to school hungry, it really helps them, because providing a nurturing environment is what kids from troubled homes and poor circumstances really need. They just need someone to, care about them and kind of take them under their wing. So those are two of the things we've worked on that I'm really excited about.
There was some interesting ideas put forward recently by David Brooks, a columnist for the New York Times, and
I love that.
he's got a TED Talk at TED.com
That's cool.
recently, which talks about education. He talks about our culture, and one of the things he suggests is that kids really learn better in an atmosphere where they feel loved.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing he put out was that he really feels emotions are the foundation of intelligence.
Oh, really?
And that our educational system needs to do more to nurture our emotional lives as much as our intellectual lives. And I find it really interesting. He's certainly an intellect I appreciate, but on the political side of it, he tends towards the more conservative. So I appreciate that this is somebody who's open to try and put some new ideas out there, wherever they come from. And I think he's a voice that we would do well to hear.
Yeah.
We deal with a lot here too, and in your first year here, is there anything that stood out in terms of what we've dealt with that you didn't expect, or maybe that you did, but it was bigger than you thought?
From the start, I've been very excited about universal health care. I just feel like I personally have seen this situation, our entire country. I mean, we've been trying to pass some legislation along the lines of the bill that we just passed out of the House on universal health care. And I think, at the end of the day, we know that our healthcare costs are really, we pay a price, not just as employers. I mean, the healthcare costs are escalating so high that it's very, very hard for employers, even employers who want to do the right thing, to be able to do the right thing. And then sadly, that there are so many people who use the emergency room as, the last resort because they have no healthcare coverage. The large number of people who die early or, sooner than they would because they have no healthcare coverage. So I was really, really thrilled. It's a big, big proposal. I know businesses and others are worried about the fact that we don't have the whole numbers part of the equation figured out, but I heard it described recently as, it's like an architect who, you have to draw out the plans before you build the house. And, we've come up with the plan, and, now the Senate will get its chance to fine-tune it, and maybe it'll go to conference committee, I'm not sure. But I think it's just a wonderful step that I was really excited about coming to the, being elected at this incredibly exciting point in time for Vermont to pass universal health care bill. I think it's something that we can lead the nation on. I think at the end of the day, it will attract businesses to Vermont because,
I think so too.
don't you, I mean, you know more than I do about this. You're in the health services, the human services sector, and I'm sure you've seen, up close and personal how hard this is on people not to be able to afford the care they deserve. So.
One of the problems is people are paying more and more for less coverage, and that's affecting our health outcomes. And as a nation now, we're 19th out of 20 of the largest industrial nations with health outcomes. We just keep going down.
Exactly.
The only place we're number one is cost.
Yeah, I find that horrifying. I can't believe we pay the most and we get the, we,
So this is not sustainable, and that's the primary reason we need to act now.
yeah,
We're hearing from schools, we're hearing from towns, we're hearing from businesses.
Yeah.
They can't sustain the cost of healthcare anymore. So we
Right.
need to control costs, increase access, and boost our outcomes. And I think that's what this plan will do. We're
Yeah.
just at the starting point of it.
absolutely.
In the current plan has 3 phases. This is the initial phase to start the planning process.
Yeah.
And as we move along, we'll be able to answer the questions that are coming along. And I understand people have lots of questions, but I think it's a good process. And you're right, this is an historic moment.
Yeah, so I just felt so thrilled to be part of that, to be lucky enough to be part of that. And I have a brother who has no health insurance, and I have a brother-in-law who lives in fear of losing his
Yeah.
health insurance. And so,
It's still the #1 reason for personal bankruptcy is
Yes.
healthcare costs
oh, that's amazing.
and catastrophic illnesses. So
Yeah,
we have to act. The time to act is now. I think the governor and the legislature are working in concert, and
absolutely.
I think we are leading the nation to show this can be done.
Absolutely. Yep, we're going to lead the way, and America is really a better country than this in
Yeah.
terms of how we treat sick and the poor and the
Mhm.
elderly and people who can't afford this, what should be a
Yeah.
universal right. So,
I also believe that in terms of the governor's economic plan,
right,
this is an essential piece, because if we don't
Absolutely.
control costs, if costs are not sustainable
yeah,
and manageable, this is going to hurt business.
No question.
We're moving ahead with recovery. It's starting to gain momentum. We can't move backwards, and I think unless we continue with this in the long term, for us, for our children, we're going to be worse off, and the idea is for us to leave a better world for our children.
no question.
Another concern that a lot of us in Windham County have is what's happening in Japan.
Yeah,
We're certainly standing in solidarity with all the people who are suffering in Japan.
yeah,
And many people are concerned, though, that we have a nuclear power plant that has the same vintage, the same make as the plant in Japan. And are you hearing from constituents any concerns about what's happening at Vermont Yankee and the
yeah.
safety, whether safety is, we have concern, should be concerned about those coincidences?
Yeah, and I think people are pretty concerned that the NRC reissued Vermont Yankees license. They extended it for another 20 years, in spite of the fact that, the Vermont Senate last year voted 26-4 against relicensure. So, I think it is a real concern to people, and I think, of course, what's happening in Japan only heightens the awareness and the level of worry amongst our constituents. And I just, it's really horrifying. Nothing, earthquakes are as likely here as they are in Japan on the one hand because of just our geography. But someone was reminding me that there was an earthquake. There have been several earthquakes.
And there have been floods here.
No question. And
It's the water that was the problem, not the earthquake.
Absolutely. So, I think that's an ongoing concern, and I think it's unfortunate that Entergy BY has no respect for the deal that was cut, which is that the Vermont legislature would be able to vote up or down on this issue, and they did. They voted it down. So,
Well, as we move forward in the session, spring is
yeah.
starting to show here.
Yeah.
We're hoping to be out of here by May.
Yeah.
Have you any thoughts about how the session's been and looking forward, what you'd like to accomplish, even starting to look ahead to next year?
One of the, just continuing on my committee responsibilities, some of the other things that we're working on the education committee, and we may get it done this year or it may go to next year, is a bill on cyberbullying. We're hoping to actually get it passed, at least in the House, this session, but we're very, very concerned about how the internet and social media amplify the tendency or the proclivity of kids to bully each other in, anywhere from grammar school to middle school to high school. So we're actually taking testimony and trying to figure out how to make that work so that we can ensure that all kids get the education they deserve and do not live in an environment where they are bullied or tormented. And as you know, someone can send a nasty viral message about any young man or woman that can really hurt a young person's self-esteem and really have very, very bad consequences. So we're trying to figure that out. We're doing a lot on, we're actually taking a lot of testimony right now too in preparation for probably bills that we'll introduce next year with regard to pre-K, the importance of pre-K in terms of preparing children. Very high number of kids, it's like 40–50% arrive at kindergarten not prepared to go to school. So we need to, and the research shows that if they're in high quality early care programs, or if they have real hands-on parents, that they can come to school ready to learn. So it's another thing we're focusing on, and those are probably some of the top issues that I can think of right now.
Well, appreciate you taking the time out.
Thank you very much, Mike.
We're going to wrap up now.
Okay.
Head back to the floor of the House.
Thank you so much, and I would encourage all my constituents, I'm in basically, in effect, West Brattleboro, to contact me at 802-257-0249 or at my legislative website to share any concerns they have on any matter and on education in particular.
And I think they'll be showing our contact information as the credits go out, but it's important that people know we want to hear from you.
Absolutely.
And thank you to BCTV for letting us come to you this way too. And until next time, this is Representative Michael Rickey with the Montpelier Connection. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.